In this video, we are going to look at how PCOV can help us generate code coverage report for our Laravel tests and how it will help us understand how much code coverage we have done and what are some of the scenarios which we will have to test so that we have 100% code coverage for our application's code base. So hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my channel, and today in this video, I'm going to show you one experiment that I did with PCOV to generate code coverage reports. So in one of our clients' application, we have been writing tests, and there was a requirement where the client wanted to understand how much coverage do we have right now and how we can improve the overall coverage. Now, one of the most common ways to do that is having Xdebug and stuff. However, I was reading a lot of articles about how Xdebug can be a bit slow, and recently with the Laravel news newsletter article, rather the newsletter's mention of one article, I read and came to know about PCOV, and when I explored, I really got interested and saw great results. And so today I'm going to show you how we can implement PCOV and then generate code coverage reports. Now you can install the PCOV plugin, the PHP extension rather, not a plugin, into your machine, and that should generally work like typically you would do with Xdebug. However, I have been using Docker recently, and so in this video I will show you the setup that I have done for PCOV. So I'm using this ServerSideUp Docker image, which is a great starting point for any of your Laravel application to run on a Docker environment. And what I have modified is only these two lines, 14 and 15, where I added this line called run install PHP extensions PCOV, which basically means that I'm installing this PHP extension PCOV for my reporting purpose. So this is one repository which I use for any of my Laravel development now, which I need to do with Docker environment. So I'll just run this command, which is git clone docker setup, and the folder name will be code coverage. Now I already have these images. I'll show you my Docker desktop. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All 5 images are ready for me. So why don't we, oh, by the way, I'll first get inside the thing, open up inside VS Code. I have this in a shortcut file, which is Q, and what I have also done is which Q, okay, I'll just run like this. So if I do Q up and dash D, or maybe just Q up, it says cannot find env, which is fine. I'll first need to install create a Laravel project. I'm literally starting from scratch. Composer, create project, and I'll do dot, and it should, it is building the image because I had deleted that, so it will take a little bit of time. And yes, now my container is up and it is installing a latest version of Laravel and creating a project. All right, so we have installed this, and the only thing which I will do for it to run properly is take these environment variables inside my Laravel application. What I would do is just add them. I'll run my app on 8090, PHP myadmin on 8070. Okay, so I can make it 8080, right? And that's pretty much it. Dash Q up. Okay, my entire things are up and running. So I'll just go over here, check localhost 8080, application is running, and 8070 phpMyAdmin is running, which is fine. However, we are not really much interested in these two things. What I would do rather is get inside my Docker container. So Docker compose exccit php bash. I'm inside my container now. And what I will do is php artisan test coverage, which will right now tell me that I have a 33.3% coverage. But now there's one more thing which I'll have to do to generate a beautiful looking report. Okay, for that, the first thing that I'll have to do is make a little bit of change in my PHP Unit.xml. Let's open that up. Okay. So I made these changes so that I'm using SQLite and in-memory while doing the tests and not actually the SQLite which is being used right now. And also I'll need to add a little bit of code over here. Alright, so these are few lines which will help you generate a report. So I'm saying that during the coverage, I need a report and the output directory is build/coverage. I have a build/coverage.txt file, Clover file, and these are the logs. Okay, so let's run now and see what happens. So I should have this build folder over here, reveal in Finder. Right. So now inside coverage, I'll have a dashboard.html, which I'll open up in my Chrome. Okay, it says there are some files where we have 0% coverage, and if I go over here, you can see inside HTTP controllers, I have the controller PHP which doesn't have any coverage and a few things. Now, this gives us a UI where we can see some coverage data. How about I generate user controller and it will be empty. Okay, let's come over here. Let's add an index method, and what we would like to do is users equals something like this. Okay, so if I get this, basically I would like to return the thing. Now I'm going to take a little bit of a shortcut and return JSON, although it's going to be inside the web.php, but that's fine. I mean, it should generally solve the problem of showing the PCOV coverage report. So what I'm going to do is if it is 0, I'll do no users. That's about it. And response HTTP. Okay. And if I find the users, then obviously I need to return them, which is but obvious. Okay, this should be the thing. Now, if I now run the test again, I'm down to 13.3. And if I look at the report now, go to HTTP controllers, user controller, Can you see? It just says that yes, this block is not being tested, this block is not being tested, and this block is not being tested as well. All right, so how do we make those improvements? Let's create a test now. Should be user listing test. It's a feature test. Let's come over here. Okay. Now I haven't created the route, so obviously there will be a problem. I quickly need to set that up before we actually get into the coverage thing. Users, user controller, and I'm saying that it needs to call the index method. The name of this route is users index, and with that in place, what I can do is come over here. So we'll go step by step. Okay, we'll try to understand how things are working. Now I have one basic test which asserts that I get a 200. So let's see. I run my test coverage and it is failing. It's failing on that particular route. Interesting. Let me look at the log file. I mean, what is wrong? Let me look at it. So somehow still get a bit confused while I'm doing the recordings. I don't know why. So it says no such table users. And I thought, oh, I get it. Yeah. So I'm inside my test and I need to do a refresh database. Otherwise, inside my test, it won't run. Okay. Yeah. So we were initially on 13 point something, and from that we have increased to 73.3. And let's look at the report. Okay. Over here, it says that based on the test, we are able to come over here and then we are able to come over here, which means it understood that this block is not, that hasn't been executed. Okay. It is able to understand that that nuance when the code coverage is happening. So now I need to pass this. And for that, what I will have to do is ensure that I get a count of more than 0, right? So why don't we create one more test? Test underscore gives list of users. Now I could have done it with pest as well, which is a little more easy to work with, but that's fine. I think the framework is not really important because you can achieve the same thing. What is important is to understand how things are working. So I'll create 2 users, okay? And now if I run my code coverage, let's see what happens. We have 100% code coverage. Now, here's the thing. In this particular case, PCOV is just saying that based on the tests, we are able to validate all the blocks. And it literally means that these blocks, conditional blocks are getting somehow executed in those tests. But it is never saying that your tests are actually 100% covering the business logic of your application. By that, what I mean is, now really try and understand, if I'm creating these as APIs, how is it that I'm not testing whether this user's key is present or not? Let's say I have a JavaScript based application, or sending these APIs to the mobile application. Now if I don't assert that this key is present, what is the point? Correct? So we have to be a little we have to take our judgment that while doing these things, although PCOV is a very nice tool to help you understand the level of coverage, but it doesn't understand your business logic. Okay, so that's what I'm primarily trying to make you understand. For example, if the ideal case would be that I do something like, use the Fluent API of Laravel to test this. How do we do that? First of all, assert status code of, let's say I'm a little more generic with my code, so I don't do a 200 but rather assert through the available status codes thing. Then I'll have to do an assert JSON, but for that I'll do get JSON. Okay, and in here I'll do function assert table JSON. I just love the Fluent API. I'm just in love with how easy it is to work with these things. Okay, so it has all users and maybe message. Okay, and then has users comma 2. Okay, this is according to me the minimum that I should be testing to have that thing. So now obviously it is not going to change anything in my report, but having said that, right, with these tests I'm a little more I would feel more confident because I'm testing the business logic of my application. I'm checking whether the user's key is present or not, whether the user's key, when there are two users in my database, whether those two users are being sent back as through the API or not. But yeah, this is basically what code coverage is. So a quick recap, what we have done is I'm using this Docker setup where inside my Docker container, the PHP container, I have my PCOV extension installed. Now this is a PHP extension, so it doesn't matter how you are working with it. You can just go ahead and install PCOV. You have to check what is the method in which you can install that on your system. If you are using Laragon, there's a different way. If you are using WAMP or XAMPP, it has a different way of doing things. If you are on Herd, then the process is a bit different. And if you're on a Linux machine, then obviously you can look for the PECL installation process and stuff like that. However, I'm on Docker, so and with this server-side-up image, it was just one line of code, and I got that extension. Once we have this extension, we make some changes to our PHPUnit XML because we are here saying that we need to build a report. Otherwise, if you don't do this right, with just running code coverage, you will get this report on your terminal. However, you won't get the HTML output which I was showing you on the browser. So yeah, so you put this thing in your PHPUnit XML, you run PHP artisan test with coverage, and what you will get as a result is this. Okay, so there are two HTML files which you are interested in. One is the dashboard.html and the second is index.html. Now, once you go into that, you will see the entire list of files which PCOV is scanning for code coverage. So yeah, that's about it, guys. That's how we work with code coverage in our application. I was working on this for one of my clients' requirement, and I would like to know what is your thought process behind it, whether you feel that code coverage is important or not, and how do you manage these things. But yeah, that's about it. If you like this video, then do click on the thumbs up icon and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.